The Haze Club Daily, episode 15. My name's Liam from the Hustle Brothers, and we've got the founder of the Haze Club, Christopher Bell here. Christopher, you're out relaxing, blue skies. We've got that orange kayak on the water. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm just chilling on the river, man. Enjoying the last week. It's been crazy up and downs. Uh, a lot to be expected. A lot more coming in, but yeah, just out here on the river and enjoying the day. How you doing? Hey, man, great to have you back. So great to have you back. I know you were sick. Um, we missed you. It's not as easy as people think to go in here by yourself. So love having you back. Some of feedback off of. So thanks. Glad you're doing better. Glad you're doing better for sure. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, Chris, I want to thank you for that. Guys, anyone that was wondering where I was, yeah, I was sick as a pig the last week. Um, Look, I couldn't get out of bed, let alone look at YouTube X. But look, Christopher reached out. Quite a few of you reached out actually. I want to thank you for that. But yeah, Chris, we're gonna have some fun today. This is my third stream of the day, so guys, I am sorry if you have followed any of my last two streams and you hear me repeat a few things. I can never remember, did I say something on Haste Club, or did I say it on eVTOL Weekly, or did I say it at a launch? So, guys, please don't be afraid to correct me if I'm repeating myself. But, Chris, look, launch earlier, another successful one, 66, over the line. Is it just becoming another day in the office? Do you still get as worried about Electron every launch? We know what we said about Mako. We know what we said about um, stage separation. And even Curtis came in earlier and he said that battery hot swap is where he gets his biggest worry from. But are you starting to ease up a bit when it comes to Electron launches? Is it more of a look, it's an everyday job in the office now for Rocket Lab at this stage?
I, I gotta say yes. I mean, I was not as nervous today as I was 3 or 4 launches ago. I really wasn't. I went into today just kind of expecting, just expecting a successful launch. I do get nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think we all should, to be fair. I'm sure Beck gets nervous with every launch as well. But that's kind of the fun in it. We pay attention. We watch the countdown, the cadence, the no, the go, the no go. Um, I'm not sure that I'm ever going to get bored of that. I'm a big space geek, as you guys all know. Um, so whether it's a Rocket Lab launch or it's SpaceX, coming back down and landing their boosters, I'm gonna be watching. So nah, they've been doing really well. Yeah, we had a recent little faux pas about a year or so ago, and it only made them better. And that's the
Yeah.
great thing about Rocket Lab is they learn from any mistakes they might make, and they don't just correct them; they go 10 times above that. So another reason why I think that we're going to see a successful launch for Neutron on its maiden voyage.
And guys, any of the guys that have followed me across from eVTOL Weekly, um, if you're not aware of what Chris is talking about, we had a little issue. Well, not a little issue, quite a big issue at the time, with an Electron failure at stage separation. There was an electrical arc that happened, and it more or less stopped the um, second stage from relighting. So we basically failed. Um, what they more or less done, they've insulated it. They they had an earnings call, yeah, and it was actually probably one of my most favorite earnings call where Peter Beck explained the engineering and the science behind it, and they could only recreate that electrical arc under certain conditions. And he said it is very, very rare for these conditions to occur. However, they've insulated it. They've insulated all the electricals. So that same fault cannot happen again. Tom Lotter, nice to have you here, brother. Can I ask you something? Tom Lotter, this is the Haste Club. You can always ask us something. So yes, brother, you can do. Um,
Yeah, ask away, man. Ask away. That's all we do is ask questions. We don't always have the best answers, um, but that's not what we do here. Our goal is to get you thinking outside the box. So if you got a crazy conspiracy theory, please throw it at us. We love it. It's always fun that way.
and then, Chris, one thing I wanted to bring to you as well. What did you make of the new sound of the relay, the engine? It was do you know what? RKLB always seemed to bring something new to each stream. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was feedback from one of our mics, but yeah, it was clarified by Peter Beck. Yeah, we now have sound on stage separation. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we had a lot of feedback and echo from my mic, so I was just thinking that we had an. I thought we initially had a sound problem, um, and I could swear we've never heard it before, but I wasn't. Usually, when you're covering the launch, you're trying to focus on the comments and the last question asked, and it's easy to miss a lot of small details. But I thought it was very cool. I mean, we're getting more insight. We're able to hear more, see more what they're doing. Um, Man, what is Beck gonna do next, right?
Tom Lotter has actually put in a very, very valid question, to be fair. And I am gonna fire this to Chris. I'll say my answer to it and then I'll fire it to Chris after. So Tom Lotter says, thanks. Look, don't have to thank us, brother. Any question you ever want to ask on the Haste Club, feel free. If you ever want to call in, have a chat. Look, we're a lot more laid back here. We are average retail investors. Look, I'm talking for myself here. Chris is a specialist, but I am no specialist when it comes to Rocket Lab. At the Hustle Brothers, we bring all the specialists together and we like to relay it back to the retail investor. And I think that's why Chris liked to work with us under the Haste Club. Because, look, we're not going to come at you with big financial words and scientific information. We will always relay it back to the retail investor. But Chris is the founder of the Haste Club, and to be fair, he is quite a big specialist. Do you know what you are, Chris? You're a specialist in conspiracies. And to be fair, most of the time, well, not most of the time, but quite a bit of the time, you can be right. But Tom Lotter, do you know if the Neutron launch pad is hurricane or storm safe? Because it seems to be in that area. I'm a bit worried that this could, I think, cause major damage someday. Now, look, this is my honest opinion. I haven't looked at this, but my honest opinion, because they're in a hotspot there, from what I can imagine, I would say that yes, they are storm safe. Hurricanes safe. Look, I'm Irish. I've never seen a hurricane in my life, so I'm not even going to answer that one. I think I'm better firing it across to the man himself who lives in Virginia. Chris, is it storm and hurricane safe?
It has to be. Since 1996, 1997, there was actually a law passed that anything within 100 feet of the coast has to have hurricane rated clippings, hurricane rated um, construction. It's a lot different. And as you guys know, I build koi ponds, and even though I'm surrounded by water, everyone wants waterfalls and koi ponds, and um, you have to learn and know the laws, local laws. So yes, when it comes to, it's the same for the same thing for the Eastern Shore, which a lot of it's protected for wildlife. There's a lot of migration routes. You have the Chincoteague ponies that come out every year. and across the island. Um, it's it's kind of crazy because whether you're at Wallops or you're at Cape Canaveral or you're down in Texas, you're gonna have some of the best launch sites, but at the same time, you're gonna have some regulations that's gonna kind of slow you down. I guess in a lot of ways. Um, and we're still waiting on a lot of the, I guess, permissions for Neutron to launch in as early as September, if we hope for it. And uh, a lot of it has to do with who you're working with and what's going on in politics, unfortunately. But right now, we see what's going on with Trump and Elon, and the U.S. government looking for alternative sources. Um, it's funny. All right, so this is kind of funny. So as you guys know, um, me and Francisco, we talk daily, and we come up with some crazy ideas. And I was driving back from work, and I was being lazy, and I asked Brock. I said, "Hey, what's the Electron launch schedule? Coming up for the next 12 to 18 months?" And it mentioned something about Electron being launched out of Cape Canaveral. So of
Mm-hmm.
course, I just jumped on it. Man, I clicked on it. I was like, I never heard this. And we all know a lot of people in the space community. I mean, if Electron was launching out of Cape Canaveral, we would know about it by now, right?
Yep.
Um, and turns out I guess it was a glitch. I don't know what it was from Grok, but it turned out to not be true. But at the same time, Francisco and I started deep diving into a lot more of the possibilities. I mean, we know that Rocket Lab does work with Space Force, and Space Force does own a base right there at Cape Canaveral with two landing or launch pads. They are rated for Falcon 9 and both ULA, which they both launch out of there. So sometimes you guys can do some crazy out of the box researching, and it turns out to be nothing. But at the same time, there can be a little bit of information there that most of us miss. And again, it can lead to a lot bigger long term contracts, a lot bigger money. Um, again, that's what we do here, man. That's what we do. We think outside the box. We try and think about the craziest possible aspects of what Rocket Lab could possibly be, and feed off of that. Again, no receipts. You know, have some fun with it. Um, yeah, guys. Thanks again for everything. It's a lot of fun. It's been a long week. I'm not gonna lie, and as you
I
guys
can
can
imagine.
see, I'm just kayaking on the river, so I'm trying to keep up and not drown myself or drop my phone in the water. um, but yeah, just a few thoughts off the top of my head.
Yeah, guys, I want you to jump into the comments here because, look, I more or less let Chris down for the last week or so. He has been manning this ship. Now, to be fair, he is the captain. However, um, he has been manning this ship for the last week on his own. Guys, I've only done about 5 live streams ever on my own, and trust me, they're quite daunting, yeah. And when you get guys asking for Rocket Lab content daily, like we used to do eVTOL content daily, and we're gonna start upscaling that again to daily. But it is a daunting task, and to do it live, and what, an hour? What was your last one? It was like 3 hours long, brother. Um,
Yeah,
my
that wasn't
God.
my
Uh,
fault. That was I'm gonna blame Francisco and Tadded and Jacob because I was like, I'm gonna get on for like 45 minutes and get off. And 3 hours later, I was like, can I please get off here? And they're like, no, just keep going, um, which is quite funny because at that point, I'd lost all control of the live stream and I became a listener. Um, more than a host, but I love that. That's awesome because sometimes sometimes you just have to let the conversation flow towards the direction that everyone wants to go in. I can come on here with 3 or 4 topics and we can touch on them, but someone else might come up and go, "Hey, I saw this and I really want to talk more about this." And that's the direction we go in. It's not, we don't control this. We allow the community, the listeners, to control this stream, and that's the most fun part about it.
And that's the thing, like, people get sick of me and you rambling on every single day and just hearing mine and your thoughts back and off at each other. But, like, you've hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes when you're hosting them, it can be a little bit difficult to try and get your own opinion in, and then all of a sudden you turn into like a listener. Like when we got Jacob Keaton on, so we've got one titan in yourself when it comes to Rocket Lab Space. We then brought on another titan in Jacob Keaton. And then, to top it off, Francisco Ramirez made his debut on YouTube and came in. And you know what? I felt like a very small fish swimming
Yeah,
in
dude,
amongst
in a
beach.
big
Right?
sea.
And you know
Yeah,
what,
dude.
guys?
You get a Jacob and a Francisco on the same time on the same stream. Um, I can just sit back and shut up, and I'm sure that's what most people want most days. Like, hey, Chris, just shut up. You talk way too much. Um, but that's the beauty of it is that we don't have to. We all have our own individual strengths. Okay,
Yeah,
and um, whether you're someone like me that thinks crazy stuff outside the box, or you're like a Jacob that's going to go, hey, the numbers don't add up. So look at this, and brings you back down to earth, and it saves you from making a bad mistake, and it helps you making better decisions when it comes to your investing portfolio. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a Rocket Lab or a Tesla or Nvidia, but the information that we're giving correlates with everything else when it comes to investing. So that's the fun part about it. It really is. These guys give great information. It doesn't. Again, it can be freaking Hershey. I don't care what it is, but um, the information, the intelligence, um, uh, learning from those guys only makes us all better as a group, right? And eventually, we're going to hit one of those numbers, and all of you guys are going to have to buy water features from Chris. So even if I don't have the share count that I want in Rocket Lab, I'm going to sell you all water features. I'm talking to you, Lily Funds. I saw the Bahama thing today. I can see like 10 or 15 water features on that property.
I'd just be flying you over, and I'd be like telling my neighbors, "Yeah, I know a guy. I know a guy." Um, Fly you over, have a few beers with you, let you do your work, doing water features, and then just we'll charge the bill to all them. But no, guys, I want to sort of circle back there. So we're talking about Jacob Keaton. Guys, if you don't know who he is, and I'm pretty sure most of you do, but any of the guys that came from eVTOL Weekly just then, you've dived into Space Stocks. Look, I was speaking quite a bit about Redwire in that stream, and it's to do with the executive order that's just been signed on Friday with Trump, where they want a more or less advance US drone technology. And then I said Redwire would be a good play, but Redwire will be spoken about, I'm pretty sure, on the Space Investors Spaces that happens at 8 p.m. Eastern time every Wednesday. So literally, it'll be more or less, you can go get a cup of tea, grab a beer after this stream, and guys, I want to meet you on Spaces. Both myself and Chris will be there in the background listening to the specialists do their job. Chris, I'm pretty sure, will probably call in. I don't know what value I could add to some of them giants, but look, if I'm there, I might have a few words to say on Spaces.
they,
But
they, bro, they've heard from me all week. I'm just interested in now Jacob and Brett both have brought or they dropped some really cool hints as far as what they're going to get into this week. So, and we both know them very well. At least, especially having Jacob on.
yeah,
It's going to be very interesting to see what direction they're going to take this. and I can't wait to learn from both of them and everyone in the community. So um, it's funny because we're promoting each other, but I can't sell this hard enough. Yeah, and I'll be in the comments. I'm not going to go live tonight. I'm just going to listen in and joke around with people in the comments, of course. But definitely give those guys a listen. I trust me. The next 2 or 3 weeks, going into the end of next month with the guests they have coming on, is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, guys.
And you hit it there. You're saying it looks weird, like that we're all promoting each other, but I think we all have the same end goal. Like we're all trying to grow our knowledge in Rocket Lab. I couldn't care less if we stay at the following we're at now. I'm having fun every day with you, Chris. We're learning about Rocket Lab every day. We're talking to new people, getting new ideas from all the specialists across the world. And I think that's what's the beauty of this, because it feels like we gain knowledge on our own investments. And look, we're learning from each other, whether it's look the likes of me and Chris, working class men, investing in it, or you have the likes of Jacob who has been able to retire. Um, it's great to see the spectrum of opportunity when it comes to Rocket Lab. But again, guys, it doesn't matter whether you have one share, whether you have 1,000 shares, whether you have 1,000,000 shares. We value every single one of your opinions.
Bro, do you see what I'm doing right now? I mean, I mean, look what I'm doing right now. I'm literally on my kayak with my phone, uh, taped down and held down by some pliers so it doesn't fall in the water. There's a big crane over there. Um, yeah, as serious as I take my investments, man. In a lot of ways, I'm already a very rich person. If you got kids, if you got property, if you're 10 steps ahead of your neighbor. I think we put way too much pressure on ourselves, especially when we see a price drop 3 or 4%, and we get way too excited when it jumps up 7 or 8%. Um, with a company like Rocket Lab, it should be a long-term investment.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as it's the same thing as having kids. Sometimes your kids are gonna piss you off, man. Sometimes your kids are just gonna break your heart, but it's a long game, man. It's a long game. and again, it doesn't have to be a Rocket Lab. It can be whatever company that you're comfortable looking into and doing that long term research. um, that's where you really get your dividends, you really get your payoff, because you're buying at 15, 17, and 20, and you're still buying at a 3 or 4, because that that's a stupid, ridiculous price. And when it jumps up to 30 or 40, you're gonna cash in a little bit and keep on adding in. Again, not not investment advice, but I think you guys all know where I'm coming from with this.
I actually, before I jump across to the comments here, I want to address something actually, because I seen it going around different groups that they reckon I cashed in on Rocket Lab and I dipped. I more or less ran. Guys, trust me, I promise you, hand on heart. If I was going to do that, I promise I'm not, but if I was going to do that, Rocket Lab is not the stock I'd be doing it on. Guys, I have covered many a stock in the Hustle Brothers. Rocket Lab has been my baby since the start. You could go back ever since we started the channel, and Rocket Lab was always my main focus. But then we doubled down on eVTOLs. But some of them companies would be a lot easier for me to make a heap of money and run. Rocket Lab's up like 30% in the last month. Do you really think I'm gonna run off 30%? Guys, come on, please. Chris and Dylan couldn't get a hold of me for a few days. I was sick as anything. I am in the west coast of Ireland. Trust me, if my two brothers here cannot get a hold of me, I don't know who from X has managed to get a hold of me and see that I have sold a nice amount of Rocket Lab and then done a runner and dipped. I don't know what I could have dipped on, like what we're on Daily, episode 15. I don't know. It was just some mad conspiracy gone around. But it's funny how people put their tinfoil hat on. But I want to jump straight back to the comments. SpongeRob. Chris living his best life. Respect. I think we all love Chris. Look, you don't know what you're going to get with him. Are you going to get him on a kayak? Are you going to get him driving to get some beer? Are you going to get an absolute crazy conspiracy? Or are you going to actually get bang on information on what Rocket Lab's next move is? Like, if you look, Chris and Francisco called HASTE back in January. And from what I have heard, people thought they were mad at the time. But look, they looked like geniuses when it came out. So, guys, trust me, no matter how much fun Chris is having, he's a very, very smart guy. He has fun, but when he speaks, you listen, trust me. Tom Lotter, I would like to share my thoughts on a US option strategy about Rocket Lab. Would it be okay? And thanks for the answer. As much as I know, they must show that Neutron is launchable for the NSSL contract until December 2025. So I think they will launch in September or October, pretty sure. Not November or December because of bad weather, and also not 2026 because of NSSL. And if we consider Neutron will likely start September, October 25. Yeah, I think we're more or less under the opinion that we're going to get a launch in around the September time. We know the pad is going to be complete by, is it midsummer they were saying, Chris?
Am I allowed to answer honestly, or can I just be Chris? All right, so here's some food for thought. We are expecting another Electron launch out of Wallops before the end of this month.
Yep.
We are also expecting another HASTE launch out of Wallops before the end of this month. Now, all right, so this is what I do. If you never tune into the HASTE Club, well, I hope you brought your seatbelts because this is what I do.
This is where it gets good.
We've been talking about the possibility of Neutron being expanded because of the recent Trump and Musk fiasco and them reaching out to different companies like a Rocket Lab as far as the U.S. government going, hey, how far along are you and what can you do in the next 3 to 5 years? So today I was being lazy. I was coming home from work and I decided that instead of looking it up, I would just ask Grok. And I said, hey Grok, what's the next few launches coming up as far as scheduled Electron launches? And something came up that really piqued my interest. And it was actually an Electron launch out of Cape Canaveral, Florida. All right, so let's just think about that for a second. Now, I shared this with Francisco, shared this with Liam, and we can find no evidence that this was true. Now, we saw that there is a oncoming mission for SpaceX out of that same facility. Okay, so no big deal. So I was wrong about that. And we're going to be wrong from time to time. No big deal. But what we did find out is that Space Force does have a facility in Cape Canaveral with 2 launch pads that are rated for both Falcon 9 and ULA. They have launches they've already done over there for Falcon 9 and ULA, and they have launches coming up. So that got me thinking a little bit. And if the U.S. government really wants Rocket Lab to boost their potential manned missions, well, Wallops is not the ideal location. But we already have, we've already we've already worked with Space Force. We already have the heritage there with them. They have the majority of the facilities in Cape Canaveral. It wouldn't take much. I mean, Electron has a very specific type of launch pad, as does Neutron. But if you're looking at the potential of a government type of loan or investment to boost the Neutron project, that seems very feasible. Very feasible in the short term, because again, you already have most of the infrastructure already set up. Space Force is already there. They already have 2 launch pads. It would not take a lot, but again, hey, you asked me for my crazy outside the box, kind of conspiracy thing, and yeah. So right now, I'm looking at possible Cape Canaveral type of expansion of both Electron and yes, Neutron.
This is why we love Chris here at the Haste Club. This is what got me pulled in like a magnet. Listening to some of his live streams on X, I was like, look, collaboration with this guy, he's a must. And look, friendship has just grown from there. And now we speak every day. Chris, I want to sort of circle back on too. How in the name of the Lord did you know so much information on hurricane resistance? Being 100 meters away from the thing. When Tom Lotter came out with that question, and then you came back with a 10-minute response to it, I was like, my God, is there anything this guy don't know?
Well, I've worked in Virginia my whole life, and we are basically wetlands and swamp, and so the ground constantly moves. So you have to engineer projects thinking 5, 10, 15 years down the line. You can't engineer whether it's a retention wall or it's a koi pond. You have to think 5 or 10 years down the line based on based on experience. I mean, you go to Virginia Beach right now in Virginia, and the odds of you getting a permit to put in a fiberglass uh, freeform pool in your backyard is slim to none. You know why? It's all sand. It's all going to move. So, my dad worked for Sarasota County in Florida for 18, 20 years. He's a project manager. I learned a lot from him. I've myself, as you guys know, I run my own business, and I've run very, very large projects, 400, 800 acres of reconstruction. So I can see what it takes to get it done. And there's a lot of factors that come into it. Like last year, we had a very mild winter. So I knew that, and on Wallops, they were able to get a lot of construction done that normally would not happen if we had the winter like we had just this last winter. I think that's why we also saw the addition of another landing pad for Neutron and more infrastructure going in and around that, because they're ahead of schedule. Now, it doesn't show that on, you go on the Rocket Lab website and it doesn't show, Wallops is, green, it's still yellow. I get that. But I think that Wallops is so far ahead of schedule, they're getting closer towards that landing bridge going out into the Atlantic. So yeah, I can look at a photo, and whether it's, so you see valves and you see piping and you see construction going on around on the photos, and most people just take it as, hey, they got a water tower, hey, they got this going on. Well, I'm looking a lot deeper into that, because that's just what I do for a living, and I can see how far along they are based on what they have laid out, if that makes sense. Because one thing does not come before the other. And You're not going to buy the materials. You're not going to send the stuff out there. You're definitely not going to have it sitting on the yard unless you're ready for the next step. And I think that, and I've said this before, we're all waiting on the Archimedes engine and the vacuum engine, but Rocket Lab is already doing testing, not just on the fairings or the HIPAA fairings, but um, WOBS itself is way further ahead than most people realize. Way further ahead than most people realize. We're not waiting on WOBS. It's in my mind, it's an engine issue. We've seen recent photos and things of that nature. That's always been my main concern from day one. Has been the engine. Um, Once they get past the not just the Archimedes thruster, but the actual vacuum engine, we're golden. We're golden, bro.
Thank you for that. What I want to jump across, Michael Anthony says, so does bad weather mean shares will go down on Rocket Lab? So, Michael, I think we're getting a little bit confused here. We were more or less just answering a question earlier on, was the pad storm and hurricane proof. I don't think we should get too bogged down on the weather. The only reason the weather, I believe, would ever affect the share price is if we get constant scrub of launches. Look, I'm not too worried about the actual infrastructure in regards to weather. I am sure, well, we've heard from Chris there themselves that it all has to be hurricane rated. So I wouldn't worry too much. Michael's also said ACI hits support today that all upgrades are from $22 to $26. That beat back in April of 0.46 was a beat over 0.40 that people are eating more from home with a deal in after hours that trade in higher. I'm going to be honest, Michael. It's 12:15 at night here in Ireland. This is my third stream of the day. That is too much numbers for me to comprehend at the moment. Chris, have you any comments on that?
I do have comments on that. This is Hayes Club, man. Uh, we've got guys that do the numbers. If you want some numbers, tune in around 8 o'clock, and
Yeah.
Brett and Jacob, they'll cover all the numbers. And bro, no offense, I honestly and truly appreciate the question. Um, and yeah, we can bring the receipts and we can bring the numbers to you, but that's just not what we do here. Um, we have great people in the community there, and they're just a lot better at it. And I would encourage you to follow Jacob Keaton, follow Brett Krieger on X. Also, Lily Funds. Those guys are great, and they can provide all those kind of. We can do it, man. We can do it, but that's just not what we're here for. And no offense, I don't mean any offense. I really appreciate the question. It's awesome. Always tune in. As a matter of fact, it's open forum. So if you ever want to come on live, and you know, um, every once in a while, I do allow people to come on here and talk to numbers. Uh, it's not my favorite thing to do, but yeah, man, make yourself at home. It's a big community. It's a big family. So thanks again, and hopefully the guys tonight around 8 they can address these questions you have.
I'm noticing quite a few guys asking financial questions lately, both in the VTOL Weekly and in Hayes Club. Guys, please let us know in the comments if it's something you really, really would like a stream about financials, maybe once a week or twice a week. We could maybe invite the likes of Jacob on, have the likes of Dylan on, where me and Chris more or less put our feet up for the day, lay back, and let the guys do their work. No, I'm gonna be
Oh,
dead
I'd love
honest.
it. I love it, and they can tell you like yesterday during my daughter was they had their regional finals in football or soccer for us Americans.
Yeah.
Um, And so I just let them take over, and they knew better. They knew better. Like, hey, Chris is not on, so we can talk numbers the whole time. Um, and it actually ended up being very, very good. These guys really know, man. They know their
Oh, they
stuff.
know that stuff 100%.
They really do. They really do. And it turned in, with me just kind of just tuning out and listening in, it turned into be a very, very great, great informative stream. So, yeah, sometimes it's just going to be me and you just talking crazy, and sometimes we'll have the guys on. I mean, why not? It's just when it's more random and you don't know what to expect. Sometimes it's just more fun that way.
Guys, I actually want to ask you a question as a community as well. I'm not going to tell you the answer until someone says the answer. Can you tell me something the Haste Club does differently? And there is one thing specifically we do differently when we stream a launch. Yeah. Now, look, the right answer is not we stream every launch, because we are going to start streaming every launch. But what do we do differently that I haven't seen many places do? And we do it for every single launch. Please tell me that. But I'm going to get back to GY Kiwi. GY Kiwi agrees the US will aid in helping rocket companies progress, most likely after the first successful launch. We then have Tom Lotter. Is going to bed very late in Germany. Rough, I can imagine it's probably 2:30 in the morning over there. Thank you so much for showing up. If you've ever any questions on Rock Lab, or again, brother, if you want to call in, open forum here. No, if you want to be
Yeah,
a regular.
anytime. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, my son's in Germany, close to Ramstein. So
Okay.
yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, it's late there. But thanks again for tuning in. That's awesome.
I also want to say, Chris, so we're getting an awful lot of questions about Neutron and the launch and the Neutron launch party. And Chris, if I'm gonna be there, I really feel like we need a date, brother. Um, is
That's
it
a
something you
great,
want to discuss here?
yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. All right, so we saw the interview with Ashley Vansenbeck. Um, we've seen interviews recently with the guys and both Beck and Spice, and it's gonna be very difficult. I've already tried to book hotel rooms for the end of September, which is the uh, you know estimated launch date, sometime in September, and you're just not you're not gonna get on. It's not gonna happen. But we can do something before that, and we can get everyone out there. Be a lot easier to get rooms and do an investors day basically prior to launch before they actually do their launch itself. And the cool thing, it, they actually alluded to the fact that we might actually be able to get onto the base and get up close to the rocket and see the facilities. As Rocket Lab investors, and get more up close and personal. And Beck's not going to be under the gun as far as they launch, and Spice as well. So it's probably a better idea. So yeah, I think if we can, I know that I know Jacob and the guys are going to be talking to um, Ashley Vance very soon. I think it's in July. I get this date wrong all the time, so I apologize, but I think it's July. Um, but if we can, yeah, we just kind of coordinate with everyone as far as what's the best available time, uh, and go from there, and just set a
Chris,
date.
you know what? I have a bit of an idea. Why don't we say your X is probably the better place to do it, because we've more Rocket Lab followers on your X. why don't we do like a poll for like 7 days where we put certain dates in and we'll let the guys decide what date would be best for the party.
That sounds great to me. I mean, yeah, let's let the community decide. I mean, why not? It's I'm way more flexible. I'm self-employed, so I'm my own boss. So it's a lot easier for me to schedule around that. Um, again, you know, talk with Vance and see what the rest of the people in the community want to do, and let's just set a date. Let's do it.
Yeah, nah. I look forward to meeting you, brother. Do you know what? It's long awaited. This project you've got us involved in is absolutely amazing, and I'm being honest with you, lifelong friend we've created here. But VerCNC says, Misty Vito show, is this free? Get the trust me, brother. This is my third stream today. Last week I done a back to back. This is my first free stream day, and if you cannot see, at this stage I'm sweating. I don't know how some people do stream for like 8 hours a day, but you know what? We'll gradually get there because I honestly believe, Chris, at the rate this is
No,
growing,
no,
at the
no, no. You're
no,
never gonna. No, I'm never gonna do an 8 hour stream. Are you fucking crazy? I'm
trust
gonna.
me,
I,
bro,
I,
I'm getting there.
I will fly to Ireland tomorrow and find you and kick your ass. We're not doing it. It's. I can't believe you had me do this every day, and then you got sick on me, and then left me by
You got
myself.
left with it.
Yeah, and so I had to reach out to everybody else. Like, hey, how do I? Where's the any key? How do I figure out how to use my computer? Um, you've been a dude. You make everything so much easier, and you don't realize how much you miss someone until they're not there, and then you're like, wait a minute, I can't do this by myself. I just can't do it, and that's a great thing about our community is because everyone stepped up, everyone stepped in,
Everyone chipped
and
in, yeah.
and made it happen. And now, like you said, we're like what 15, 16 days in of a daily, live stream. We covered the launch this morning. I don't know how I did that, but it's been a lot of fun. And tomorrow is going to be a lot different, I'm sure. Tonight's going to be fun, a lot of fun. Yeah, and again, if you guys want the numbers, you want all the details, definitely tune in tonight. Jacob, Brett, they're going to definitely get into they will definitely get into that kind of stuff way better, way more than I will ever attempt to try and do. That's not what we do here. We think outside the box. We dream big, and then we make people like a Francisco or a Jacob or those guys. We make them kind of prove us wrong. And that's the fun part about it. We don't bring receipts. We just have fun. We lay back. Um, Go on the river. I'm just getting off my kayak now. It's time to grill, and soon tune in to the guys coming on Wednesday night. Can't wait for it.
No, Chris, I don't know about you, but I think out of respect, what we might do is end the stream round here. Let guys jump off, get a cup of tea, get their beer, or as you said, get the grill going, get ready for the spaces.
Definitely. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm not gonna chime in tonight, guys. I'm gonna let everyone else just take over. I'm gonna be quiet. I'll be in the comments. I'll be listening in. Always available if you need me, but I'm just here, for support. Love everything you guys are doing. Looking, very much looking forward to tonight. This is gonna be great. Wednesdays are the best days because we get at least 2 or 3 live streams. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
So, guys, if you haven't realized, my name's Ian from the Hossa Brothers. You also have the co-host here and the founder of the Haste Club. It couldn't have happened without Christopher. It's his idea. It's his project. We're just here helping them along on this journey. But we've built a lifelong friend. And look, in the comments, we've got Dylan Rogers, my other co-host, when it comes to eVTOL Weekly. But guys, make sure to bang that subscribe button. Make sure to follow us on X, We're going to be here every single day. And I think Chris has mentioned it to me in the DMs that this is no longer a 30-day project, is it, Chris? This
No,
is
no. If we only do 30 days, someone's gonna lynch me. So, yeah, this will be a daily thing from now on. Whether we're coming on a live stream at 11 o'clock in the morning, or at 3 o'clock in the morning, or we're just going live, um, we will do this daily from now on. I've heard the ask, the request. I've heard honestly, it's been almost like, hey, you don't go live, I'm going to kick your ass, which is kind of funny. So, and the thing is, we have some great guests coming on, man. We really do, because again, it's about us, it's about the community. Space Ghost, um, before Liam got sick, we had Space Ghost scheduled to come on. He'll be the next one on. And then after that, we've got and I mean, it just gets just as good, if not better. You don't get much better than Space Ghost. The guy's great, but we've got more people coming on. And if you want to come on, if you want to get involved, please don't hesitate, man. Hit us up. Space Derivatives. He jumped in a whole lot this week during
I
the.
love his content. I actually probably love his content.
Oh, bro, yeah, and he was perfect. He just filled in perfectly. I was sitting there watching my daughter play soccer, and then I had to say a word. I just let these guys take over. So again, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the community, and that's what we're trying to do here at Ace Club. So I do want to have Space Derivatives on. Uh, a lot of people. I mean, Olga spoke out last week. Johnny
Oh, I want
Mag.
to get Olga on. Olga proper reached out to me while I was off. I can't thank her enough. So yeah, Olga, I really will
Definitely,
speak to
definitely.
you.
We'll get June on here. Element OP. You got to get June on here as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we joked about having an all girls, live stream, and we'll let Jacob lead it. Because he kind of
Now,
Jacob kind of
honestly,
plays both sides for us.
I want
Yeah,
the Rocket Lab Ladies podcast. Honestly, I actually think that because some of the girls are amazing. We're definitely getting Stock Trek on. Olga, June, Julie, all of you guys. Honestly, we need you on. But no, I actually want to give a special shout out as well to another big creator. I want to give a shout out to Matt Money. He was worried about me, I seen in the investors group. He actually called me out and said, what happened? He wasn't trolling. He said, what happened to the Hustle Brothers Daily? So, Matt, you'll be glad to know we're back and we'll be here every day.
yeah, Matt's
But
great. Matt's great. And yeah, again, the ladies, as you guys know, I've got daughters, so I'm trying to introduce my daughters to the world of investing, and having people they can follow and lead behind would be awesome. So it's not just about the Ace Club and about me; it's about what I can do better for my children. So please, please come on anytime. Love to have you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. It's time to take this kayak back in, fire up the grill, and let's tune into some Brett and Jacob, and see what they got going on tonight, man.
I can't wait. Let's get the copper tea. Let's get the beers. Let's get everything, guys. Right. Until tomorrow, Chris, can't wait to chat to you again. Right, guys.
Definitely.